It all started with a photo. Blurry, grainy, just a corner of a dusty red fender peeking out from beneath a wrinkled canvas tarp inside a storage unit. No engine, no interior, no wheels visible, just that tiny flash of red. But something about it caught my eye. The listing said, "Mechanics abandoned project. No keys, no title. Contents sold as is. Starting bid, $500. No one else bid." I won the auction, and I had no clue what I was walking into. The next morning, I drove across the city to a quiet industrial park on the edge of town. Rows and rows of faded red storage units stretched like a maze, humming under the summer sun. Mine was Unit 84, halfway down a forgotten lane. The lock was rusted solid. I had to call the manager with bolt cutters. He cut through it with one satisfying snap, handed me the lock remains, and said, "Good luck. That one's been untouched since 2012. 2012. That's 13 years ago. What could be sitting in there for that long?" I rolled the door up slowly. Dust exploded outward like it was exhaling after a decade of silence. The smell hit me first: motor oil, mildew, old metal. Inside was one massive object, a long, boxy shape completely draped under a tarp, taking up nearly the entire unit. A few cardboard boxes were stacked on the side, but everything else was empty. I stepped forward, heart racing, pulled back a corner of the tarp, and froze. It was a car, but not just any car. The body looked almost like a 1970 Dodge Challenger, but not quite. The lines were more angular. The hood had strange air scoops. There were no brand emblems, no VIN plate. The rear bumper was flat, like it had never been fully molded. It looked unfinished, but incredible. A Frankenstein's monster of American muscle and concept car weirdness. What was this thing? The boxes nearby were full of old papers, receipts, wiring diagrams, spray paint samples. One folder had a faded business card taped to the front. "Harris Automotive Prototyping, Detroit, me." I'd never heard of them. One sheet caught my eye: Project Wraith, one prototype, not street legal, internal use only. Was this a one-of-a-kind prototype car? I dropped the folder. That night, I posted the pictures online. Reddit, car forums, Facebook groups. Comments exploded. "This looks like a pre-production design sketch come to life. Front end looks like Dodge Demon, but the back is all AEMC Javelin vibes. I've seen this once before at a Barrett-Jackson event years ago, but it was crushed. Dude, if that's real, it's worth 6 figures. Easy." One guy DM'd me, "Check your rear axle. If it's stamped HAEP001, that's your proof. That's Harris Auto's serial number code." I ran to the garage, crawled under the car. HAEP001. My jaw dropped. I called a collector I knew from a previous flip. He drove 3 hours just to see it in person. He brought a flashlight, gloves, and a bottle of whiskey. After 2 hours of inspection, he leaned back and said, "You're sitting on history, man. No VIN, no plates, because it was never meant to be sold. This thing was probably a test mule or concept car for a manufacturer that vanished in the 80s. This is one of a kind." He offered me $75,000 on the spot. I didn't take it. The next few days were chaos. My inbox flooded with messages from gearheads, journalists, even a TV producer. The name, Project Wraith, started circulating online. Some people claimed it was a secret Chrysler test model. Others said it might be an AEMC revival car from a failed investor in the 90s. I kept digging. One archived blog post from 2003 mentioned a Wraith Coupe, described as a 600 HP concept car, developed by a group of ex-Detroit engineers under the radar. It was shown once, behind closed doors, at a private expo in Las Vegas, and then vanished. That car, same red paint, same hood scoops, same shape. Was this that Wraith? I took it to a local restoration expert. They opened the hood. The engine was half installed, a massive, experimental block with no manufacturer markings, hand-welded exhaust headers, custom mounts. Inside the car, no seats, no dash, just metal and exposed wiring. But the craftsmanship was unreal. Whoever built this knew exactly what they were doing. It wasn't street legal, but it could be. That night, I got a call from a blocked number. A man's voice. Deep. "You have something that doesn't belong to you." I froze. "The Wraith is government property." Walk away. Click. What? Was this a prank? A bluff? Or was this prototype part of something bigger? I ignored the call. Next morning, I noticed my garage door was cracked open. Nothing was stolen, but someone had definitely tried to look inside. I installed cameras. I moved the car to a friend's shop 30 miles away. I stopped posting updates, but that just made people more curious. 3 weeks later, I got a real offer. A collector in Germany wanted to ship the Wraith across the ocean, restore it, and display it in a private museum. His offer, $185,000 plus expenses. But I had to decide, take the money or finish the Wraith myself. Right now, as you're watching this, that car is sitting in a secret warehouse outside of Phoenix. I'm working with a custom shop to finish what was started 30 years ago. Will it ever be street legal? Maybe not. But one thing's for sure, that $500 gamble turned into the wildest ride of my life. Let me know in the comments, would you sell the Wraith, or bring it to life? I couldn't sleep every night. My mind ran wild with questions. Why did someone hide this car? Who really built it? And why now, after all these years, was it suddenly back in the spotlight? I started noticing patterns. 3 different numbers had called me with no caller ID over the course of a week. Once, a black SUV parked across the street, and stayed there for over an hour. When I approached, it drove off without hesitation. Was I being paranoid? Maybe. But then, things got weirder. An envelope showed up at my door. No name. Just a single sheet of paper inside. Typed. No signature. The car in your possession was built under NDA by contractors tied to a now-defunct federal program. Destroy it. Do not attempt to restore or publicize it. It wasn't a joke. The next day, my friend's warehouse, the one where we'd moved the Wraith, was broken into. Nothing was taken, except the photos. The ones we'd printed and hung up while trying to plan the rebuild, gone. Everything else, untouched. Someone wanted us off this trail. That's when I realized, this was no longer just a storage unit story. This was becoming a conspiracy. I dug deeper into Harris Automotive Prototyping, the name from the folder we'd found in the unit. Turns out the company existed, but dissolved in 1997. One of the last things they worked on, a classified joint project with a Department of Defense contractor for rapid deployment civilian chassis testing. What does that even mean? I reached out to a retired auto engineer I'd met once through a collector's group. I showed him the photos. His response, I saw this thing once. In 1995. It was parked under a tarp at a Michigan test facility. No badges. No explanation. The guys called it the Ghost. And then it disappeared. The Ghost. The Wraith. They were talking about the same car. The more I tried to walk away from it, the more the story pulled me back in. I got another offer, this time from a private buyer in Nevada. He didn't want it restored. He just wanted it gone. He offered $250,000 in cash. No paperwork. No questions. No publicity. I declined. Something in my gut told me, this car matters. And I had to see it through. That's when the weirdest thing happened. A man named Robert, mid-60s, graybeard, ex-automotive engineer, showed up at my door. He claimed to have worked on Project Wraith. We were trying to build the last true American muscle car. Something raw, untouched by emissions standards. No regulations, just speed. It was never meant to be sold, never meant to survive. But the prototype was too powerful, too unstable. The program was pulled. We were told to destroy everything, but one of us didn't. He looked me dead in the eyes. You found the only one left. Don't let them erase it. So now I'm stuck between 2 worlds. One world wants me to bury the car, take the cash, walk away. The other wants me to finish it, rev it, show the world what raw, unfiltered horsepower once looked like. Every day, I stare at that beast in the garage, the unfinished monster that someone once risked everything to build, and someone else wants to erase. I'm documenting every bolt, every weld. We're 60% through the restoration. I've brought in 2 trusted gearheads, and a mechanic who used to work on Shelby Cobras. We're taking 0 shortcuts. We're rebuilding the Wraith to exactly what it should be been, a roaring, unapologetic muscle prototype that never got its chance. The engine. We found a supplier in Texas with NOS, new old stock, components that match the block specs. The interior. Custom gauges. Hand-welded aluminum dash. Racing seats based on old design blueprints we found buried in a box from the unit. The paint job. Flat matte red. Like blood and rust had a baby. Intimidating. Iconic. But here's the real twist. Just last week, I got an anonymous message. An old YouTube clip. Unlisted. It was footage from a 1995 private track event. And in the video, the Wraith, screaming down a straightaway, a blur of red and black. In the background, men in suits, military badges, auto execs, and one voice in the crowd. If this gets out, we're all screwed. This isn't just a car anymore. It's a relic, a weapon, a ghost, a story that was never supposed to be told. But we're telling it, right here. And when this thing fires up for the first time, you'll be the first to hear it. So stay tuned.